just imagine having a microchip implanted in your hand as proof of vaccination. More and more people in Sweden are doing just that in the wake of the new COVID restrictions.
Other Europeans are joining in massive, sometimes violent protests over vaccine requirements. So what's happening here in the United States in response to the Omicron variant? Dale Hurd has the details.
The World Health Organization admits there is yet to be a single death from the Omicron variant. But that hasn't stopped some governments, especially in Europe, from using it as another reason to enact mandatory vaccination laws. Here in the U.S., Omicron cases are now confirmed in at least 17 states.
We have several dozen cases, and we're following them closely, and we are every day hearing about more and more probable cases.
But so far, Omicron does not seem to be dangerous. Initial studies show it has a similar genetic structure to the common cold, making it more transmissible. But in South Africa, where Omicron first emerged, hospitalizations have not increased significantly.
We really got to be careful before we make any determinations. But thus far, the signals are a bit encouraging regarding the severity.
Peter McGinn of Minnesota tested positive for Omicron after a visit to New York City. He had been fully vaccinated and received a booster.
Kind of feeling that tired. I kind of felt bad for about a day. Did my absolute best to follow the guidelines. I had my mask on the entire time.
COVID guidelines and restrictions have become a significant issue in Europe, where some nations are requiring citizens to be vaccinated. And that has sparked massive and sometimes violent demonstrations across the continent. This Belgian woman says, "I don't agree with the mandatory vaccinations because these vaccines, I don't think they're great yet." In Spain, this college professor says the dead from COVID-19 are mostly vaccinated people instead of non-vaccinated. That's in all hospitals. This woman says, "We don't want the COVID-19 passport. We want freedom. It's a human right. We don't want vaccines for us or our children. This is genocide." Austria has announced it plans to become the first country in Europe to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory. Germany plans on making vaccinations compulsory for certain jobs. European Union leader Ursula von der Leyen says it's time for the EU to discuss a Europe-wide vaccine mandate. And in Sweden, increasing numbers of people have implanted microchips with proof of their vaccination into their hands since the nation announced new COVID restrictions. When scanned, all of a person's information about their vaccination status is shown on a reader or phone. It's also a way to link devices implanted in your body to the internet. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, microchips aren't coming to America anytime soon, but it does boggle your mind that people in Sweden would actually volunteer for that, to have a microchip implanted, and so that they could go to restaurants and go to stores and conduct business. So you look at these developments and you really shake your head and go, what in the world's going on? But here's another more serious development, and you're not going to see that story about European protests against the vaccine and people within those various nations saying, I don't want to take a vaccine at all, and the government should never mandate that we take a vaccine. You're not going to see that story in the U.S. news because it doesn't fit the narrative. Here's a Google search for you. You can go to Google News and type in the word evangelical, then another word white, and then type in vaccine, and you'll be amazed at the number of stories that come up that are specifically trying to demonize the white evangelical community for somehow being anti-vaccine. I think it's religious bigotry of an enormous level. I mean, these are not fringe groups on the internet. This is the New York Times. This is the Washington Post. This is the Wall Street Journal. And this past weekend, it was Yale University that put out some kind of study of how to convince white evangelicals to get the vaccine. I'm a white evangelical. I have the vaccine. I know a lot of white evangelicals who have the vaccine. White evangelicals doesn't mean that you're anti-vax. But at the same time, we shouldn't impose it. This should never come down as a government mandate. People have the right to their own bodily security. You can't mandate this kind of thing. Now, have vaccines been mandated before? Sure, polio, smallpox, but you're dealing with infections that have horrible consequences where there's no cure. Here with COVID, is there a death rate? Yes. But at the same time, it's not a devastating thing. It's not some kind of emergency. So let's take a giant step back and stop the narrative that somehow this is racist or white nationalism or some kind of political narrative you're trying to advance. This is religious bigotry. I'm going to call it for what it is, and it should stop.